All right, next up, we have Cami Peck. All right, Cami. Now, good, thank you. Now you got to remind me, Cami, you're with.
I am with the Flathead Food Bank.
I knew that, but I was totally blanking on it for a minute there. I knew you, and I was like, wait a minute. I work with a lot of nonprofits, and sometimes I'm like, which one are they with?
Especially because I know that our schedule's a little off. Oh, okay, so tell it again. Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us today. I'm with the Flathead Food Bank. Like probably every other person coming here today, thank you for being a part of the Great Fish Community Challenge. This year, we've seen a large increase in the number of families who are food insecure. So your donations will go directly towards buying more food and stretching your dollar to help families in need. We've gone from, in an ordinary year, we usually serve about 4,500 families, and we've done that plus in just the first 5 months of 2020. So please give. We appreciate you. We cannot say thank you enough. We will do everything we can to make your dollars matter in our community. Thank you so much.
That was great. I appreciate you being short and sweet, although I'm not going to say that should discount how much value is in the Flathead Food Bank, especially when we just want to say really briefly, when we saw a huge surge in our food banks recently when the COVID hit us and we had to close everything down. People were laid off. They had no idea if they were getting a paycheck again or not. People who had never been to a food bank had to go to the food banks. They stepped up, they brought in load of food. It was incredible. So thank you.
Could I just mention too, we have changed our method of delivery. So we are curbside delivery, and it's open from every Tuesday and Thursday. The seniors, anybody 60 and over, can come from 9 a.m. to noon, and general public is open 1 to 4. And if you are in need of food, all you need to come and bring is your ID, and we will supply you with food enough at least for a week. So please come by if you are in need. We want to help you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. All right, next up we have, come on in. All right, we're going to keep things streaming here. We've got quite a few of you watching us online. We appreciate your chats that are coming in, and we will be doing some more drawings here shortly and give away a lot more money. But right now we want to keep introducing our friends that are here. So we have Brett with our Ravenwood, Brett Holmquist, and he's going to tell you what's happening right now and really how some of the things are impacting his organization right now.
Thanks, Linda. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and being part of this incredible event. Start off with gratitude. That's our tradition at Ravenwood. And I want to send out so much gratitude to all of the community members who donate, and especially to the staff here at Whitefish Community Foundation. They're orienting everyone out front in the hot sun and smiling and making everybody feel really welcome. And that's how we always feel when we participate in these events. So we're just super honored and grateful to be part of this, and the staff and the board at Community Foundation do a phenomenal job of creating this event. We're so grateful. And to you, thank you, Linda. Ravenwood operates all kinds of youth programs all around the valley. Our home base is here in Whitefish, and our primary field site is on F.H. Stoltz Land and Lumber Company holdings between Whitefish and Columbia Falls on Trumbull Canyon Road. And so that's another partnership that I want to highlight. I know Stoltz has done so many wonderful things in our community over the years, and they just continue to be a fantastic partner for us and create so much beautiful space. So our kids are literally out right now at summer camp on that site, picking huckleberries and tracking animals and listening to birds and singing songs and exploring in the creek, catching fish, doing all the things that kids are supposed to do when they live in Montana. So the parents are exceptionally happy that we've been able to come up with some policies that have allowed our camps to operate safely. And we're just so grateful for their patience and trust. And we've learned so much. And, the silver linings, I think, of times like these when we're struggling with something difficult like a pandemic are that it brings our community together even tighter and creates more trust. And we lean into those relationships that we build. So it's a big shout out to our staff and our parents and all of our supporters for helping us carry on with these programs and giving kids that huge breath of fresh air through their mask. Although we do have something called a sit spot at Ravenwood, which is a quiet time that everybody gets to take a moment of alone time in the woods at a special spot that they go to every time they come to camp, and observe and think and ponder and just relax. And so when they do that, they get to take their mask off, and that's a nice break because it's a big job to keep those going. So in the meantime, we are heavy duty in the midst of planning and replanning again for our fall programming and what that might look like. I think that's the real focus for our relationship so far with the Great Fish Community Challenge, has been the capacity and the resources that have come in from all of these amazing donations have really helped us expand our outreach in the schools here in the Valley. So, you know, our big highlight program from last year's funds was with Helena Flats School, and they're an independent district, so they have a little bit, it's easier for them to be custom and creative and do things on a scale that are very workable with our organization. So we partnered with a local landowner who has a really cool historic ranch right on the Flathead River there in the Helena Flats community, and created a space for local fourth graders from Helena Flats to come once. I think they did 2 days a week for 3 weeks, so a total of 6 days, with their teachers and a handful of parents, and they got to experience the Ravenwood programming out there on that land and build a special connection with a piece of nature that is in their community, which is our highest ideal. That's our focus, is connecting people with nature, community, and self, and a sense of place is kind of where all of those things come together. So we're really pleased with that, and that wouldn't have been possible without the funds from the Great Fish Challenge last year. And we're hoping that we can add another school to that program in this coming year with the funds that will come through. We aren't sure yet. You know, one of the updates and difficulties of the pandemic is just not knowing how to plan with the schools, because they don't know what they're doing yet, and we're all working together to try to figure that out. But you know, some of the other funds that we used last year were to introduce, sort of pilot a small level of programming in schools or in schoolyards, which is kind of new for us. We tend to try to bring people into a more complex, you know, nature environment, but we have a lot of wilderness skills and handcrafts that we do, and games and things that are very connective. So we started experimenting with that, and that was really successful. But this year we're not sure how far we can take that, just not knowing yet what the schools will be able to do with us, you know, in the new context. So we're just going to hold tight, and getting, you know, lots and lots of families are trying to sort out what they're going to do in terms of schooling this year. And so we're getting a ton of inquiries around homeschool options. So I think that's another way that we can serve the community through, you know, I don't know yet what that's all going to look like, but certainly a lot of interest every day. I'm getting multiple calls and emails asking if we have options for kids during school time if they choose not to go. So we're also going to reach out to the schools again and see, you know, what can we do to help you? Is there anything we can do with our sites? Is there anything we can do on your site? You know, how do we work together to keep kids not just learning on the academic level, but healthy? And I think that's where the community has really started to see Ravenwood as a really unique place of value, in that, you know, the kind of work we do is all about creating a fundamental sense of well-being and belonging. And in today's fast-paced world, especially with all the technology options that we have, it can be a little overwhelming, and I think people and kids even, you know, get a little short-circuited, and our program has a very grounding effect. And so it's neat to see how those weaves are coming together going forward. So that's the update.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you. And again, this is Brett with Ravenwood Natural Science Center, and thank you very much for what you're doing. Yes. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Next, I believe we have Denny Olson coming in, right?
Yes.
Is it Denny?
Yes,
Okay.
Denny.
Now, Denny, you're also going to need to introduce yourself to me.
Okay. I'm Denny Olson. I'm the conservation educator with Flathead Audubon Society, and I'm here today to talk about our organization. Well, one of the things, of course, in the age of COVID, birds, yeah, so, but there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have some specific needs that are pretty much survival needs. We're doing longer term. Once we're done with all this mess kinds of things, as at this point, we do a lot of programming with schools and with other organizations, Flathead Land Trust, um, Ravenwood, who was just here. We don't well, all do nature education, starting with, for us, it's starting with birds, and we've been doing that for a long time with field trips, with dozens of field trips every year, which now have to be fewer people and socially distanced and all that sort of thing. But we're adapting. We're adapting. We realize that there are some things that we can do uh, that are going to set the stage for when we get out of this COVID problem. We're going to be able to use those things as preparatory and stuff for our teachers and students and so on. Luckily, I have some video production skills, and so we just finished a 15-minute video, and I was in costume as Professor Avian Guano, who's a German professor of ornithology, has been studying birds a little too long, talking about why birds matter. It's called Bird, and it's 15 minutes long. And if you go to our website at flatheadaudubon.org, you can click on the link and go to YouTube, and watch it. It's pretty fun. It's lighthearted, humorous, but it's also got some serious messages about how important birds. Birds are one of those things that are sort of underrated. They're everywhere. They're background noise when you walk through the woods. They're everywhere on the planet. There's 18,000 species of birds, 400 billion of them. But there are also they also perform some really extremely critically valuable functions for us people. They are There are 10 quintillion insects in the world as we speak, and birds have a lot to do with the fact that it isn't more than that. And it isn't just they're good insects. They're insects that don't have our best interests in mind, but birds will help that population. If it wasn't for birds being around eating what they eat, my guess, it doesn't take too much projection to guess that we wouldn't be around either, just because of the way that works. So birds are important from a lot of perspectives. They do free shipping. They eat seeds and they poop, and they fly everywhere. And so they're basically the original farmers, and they've been doing it since the dinosaurs. And they're also the undertakers. When something dies, it doesn't just sit there, thank goodness, because otherwise the world would be a mess. So the ravens and the magpies and all those guys, the vultures, will come in and be the first responders when there's a death in the world, and they help later on with the bacteria and the bugs, but they turn it back into soil and back into life. And they're also an economic driver. Bird watching in the United States of America up until now was about $100 billion. It contributed about $100 billion to our economy in the United States, $12 billion in taxes, 700,000 jobs. So it's bigger than people think. It's the fastest growing sport, if you want to call it that, on the planet. So our adaptation is to understand first that how important birds are, and once they do that, we're going to be having our second film is going to be about the balance that they bring to the system. And the third film is going to be trouble that they're in. We've had a 30% drop. 30%, a third of our birds, practical purposes, are gone since 1970, in the last 50 years in North America, and that's kind of awesome. And so those are the sorts of things. And then finally, our last film, 4, that we're going to do is going to be about, in sequence for teachers and students, is going to be about what we can do at our homes, in our houses, in our yards, at work, to help them.
Right. No, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, excellent. That's excellent information. So again, this is sorry, I'm getting overload on my sunshine here, so you have to forgive me. We have Flathead Audubon, we have Danny Olson with Flathead Audubon here. And again, I have to say, everything you just said is so critical. I mean, we just enjoy the birds out here behind the office. We're so lucky to have, this, but also, I mean, I'm sure every single one of you, when you open your windows in the morning and you hear those birds chirping, it's just one of the most, incredible sounds. And it's just so peaceful, and it can bring so many health attributes to you.
And they're canaries in the coal mine. If they're not reproducing, something's wrong with the system. Yeah.
So true. We need those birds. It's a science. We have to study them. It tells us, forecasts, everything. So thank you for what you do. And thank you to Flathead Audubon for all of everything that you're doing in the Flathead Valley for education.
Visit us at flatheadaudubon.org.
Excellent. Flatheadaudubon.org. All right, Todd. We have Todd next. Now, Todd, you're wearing a different hat. Manager is here, but he is not here from the Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So he's really throwing me off. So Todd is going to be here for the Whitefish School District Education Foundation. Excellent.
Thank you. Yes, I promise this will be the last time I'm in this seat today. So hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this fabulous event. We are honored to be participating again. So I am Todd Langesher, and I'm here on behalf of the Whitefish Education Foundation. So the Whitefish Education Foundation is led by a group of individuals from the community, many past educators, and then we also have educators, administrators, teachers from within the school district that are on the board. And our mission really is quite simple, which is to support learning and teaching within the school district to augment the many incredible efforts that the school district is already endeavoring to achieve. So we will continue. So the using of the funds that we raise through this campaign, we will continue to do the work that we have done in the past. I will say that, like every other organization, we are also working hard to focus on the challenges around the pandemic and responding to that. There's no debate, I don't hear, around the fact that the achievement gap, the education gap that already existed between well-resourced and under-resourced families will have widened as a result of the pandemic. I think the only question is how wide the gap will be. And I think most educators are terrified to get into schools and actually find that out in the fall. So one of the things that we're really focused on is how can we support the teachers, the school district, and the kids in that effort is closing that gap back up as we start the school year in whatever form that happens. So I'll point to 3 realms in which we work, in which we will use the funds raised through the Great Fish Community Challenge. So one thing we serve as the organizing body for family involvement. So any family that's involved in the school district that wants to find a way to be involved beyond sending their kid every day can work with us. It's not the only way, but it's a way that we are helping the schools, is being the organizing body for that. We use some of our funds from this and other funds that we raise to enhance in-class and out-of-classroom learning experiences. So sometimes that looks like a teacher coming to us and completing a grant application asking for an item that they believe will augment their teaching and the students' learning in the classroom. And another example might be that they have created an experience that requires them to transport kids, and so we can help with the funding for really just moving the kids from school to the experience and back. So those are a couple of ways. And then the other way that we are trying to support the school district, and this is a growing part, I would say, of our foundation, is leveraging the human resources in the community. So volunteers and then also professionals. So we do use some of our funds to bring in professional educators to speak with the community or the school district on a topic. And then we also are organizing volunteers to go into schools around literacy and numeracy and social emotional issues. So that's all volunteer. Where we come in and bring to bear some of our resources, our funding, is in the organization. So we do enable through funding people to organize which volunteer is going to work with which kid or which group of kids, and all of the, you can imagine, that involve around spaces and kids and volunteers and program of what are we actually trying to bring to the kids. That's been a really successful program, both in the writing coaches and then the math coaches of recent. So thank you for your support of our community, and thank you for the support of Whitefish Education Foundation.
All right. And again, this is Todd, and he's here with the Whitefish School District Education Foundation. Thank you very much. Thanks for helping us today. All right. So now we're going to do adjustments here. We are going to also going to move everything back a little bit because we are in the sunshine again. Yep. You just bear with us, people. Yep. Put that right there. Right there. Right there. Yep. Okay. All right. So let's do a couple of drawings really quick while we have a minute, Miss Daria. And we've got you. Or we're going to have to postpone that for a minute. Sorry, folks. We're just doing a temporary readjustment. We are just trying to keep this outside in the shade and keep it outside. And so, thank you for all your comments as they're coming through today. We really appreciate it. And we thank you for tuning in. I did not see your drawing sheet. You need that. Yep. Right. All right. So I'm going to go ahead, Mary. We'll go ahead and bring Mary in here. Whoops. Mary, I'm going to get you started while I fix a few things. Come on in. Nope. You sit down. Come on, sit right down here. Yep, have a seat. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Linda.
Okay, keep that microphone right up there.
All right, will do. You want me to go ahead while you're reconstructing? All right. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Mary Bryan from Child Bridge, and I'm the co-founder of the organization. We find and equip foster and adoptive families for local children who are victims of abuse and neglect. And sadly, right here in the Whitefish Flathead Valley community, there are hundreds of these children who suffer this abuse and neglect and have to go into foster care because of that. Now, going into foster care is one thing, but imagine if there's not a family to care for you and you have to be moved out of the area. You've lost all of your friends, your family, your pets, everything familiar to you. So our focus is to find local families to care for these children who have suffered this abuse and neglect and care for them however long it's needed. The goal of foster care is always reunification with a healthier biological family. But if that can't happen, then foster children will need longer term care or possibly even adoptive care. So that's our focus. It's one thing to recruit a family, to have enough families available, but these families also need an incredible amount of resources and relationships in order to be successful, because caring for a child victim who has experienced trauma is very hasn't experienced trauma. And these resources and relationships are critical so that there aren't disruptions and these children have to move with more frequency, which just continues to disrupt the child's life. I'm so grateful for all of the support of the Whitefish Community Foundation and all of your support over the years. When you support Child Bridge through this effort, you are truly changing the life of a child. I also want to let you know what COVID has meant to foster care. Numbers of reports of child abuse and neglect have gone down. And wouldn't we think that's something to celebrate? But sadly, we are preparing for a spike in the fall as kids go back to school. You see, during COVID, they lost that safety net of teachers or daycare workers being aware of potential child abuse and neglect. So when children and families were harbored at home, that wasn't safe for everyone. So if you would support ChildBridge, you're going to help us gear up for what we are concerned about is a potential explosion of more children needing foster care or healthy families to care for them in the fall as more children come back into schools and things get back to normal. So again, thank you so much. When you support ChildBridge, you are truly changing the life of a child in need right here locally. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mary, with ChildBridge. Really appreciate you being here. Okay, now next up, we are going to move on to, I don't think we have Glacier Conservancy. All right. So Rachel, okay, Rachel, come on up here. And again, sorry, Rachel, I am not familiar with everyone. So who are you here with? Oh, excellent. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So this is the Nurturing Center, and the Nurturing Center is a first-time participant in the Great Fish Community Challenge. So we're really excited to have you participating, and it would be wonderful to have you tell us all about what the Nurturing Center does for our community.
Absolutely. So the Nurturing Center is one of 7 child care resource and referral agencies in the state of Montana. What that really means is we do everything with early childhood, with childcare issues, everything like that. Particularly, we deal with Best Beginning scholarships, so helping low-income families afford childcare, as well as provider education, parent education, food programs that help childcare providers afford the food that they feed their children there, as well as some more direct action type things that we're really getting into, including we have a large supply of diapers, wipes, formula that we distribute to people who are in need, as well as we're looking into starting up some scholarships for parents who do not qualify for the Best Beginnings childcare scholarships. So that'll really help those people who make $5 above that minimum or that maximum income limit to help them afford childcare. So we're really trying to do that right now. And then, like, as far as COVID goes, I've heard a lot of people kind of discussing how that's impacted their organization. We have not had 100% of our childcare centers reopen, which is a significant problem considering that there was a childcare crisis before COVID hit. And so COVID's really amplifying it, really making it hard for families who maybe don't have constant or secure income to really be able to afford and get their kids safe, quality childcare. So that's kind of something that we're working with. We're working on finding more childcare providers, people who might be interested, as well as just getting more education to the providers we do have, hopefully to keep them going through the crisis. So, yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. That's really true. I mean, we're dealing with this COVID crisis, when we think about the schools and all their struggles, but we also have the same thing with childcare. We want this economy to keep going. We want people back to work and going to work. What do you do if you're a mother and you're working and you need some childcare? And then, of course, your kids are out of school because if the school is struggling to decide what they're going to do, and all of it, it's just, we're all in this together, folks, and it's an incredible process, and that's what the Great Fish Community Challenge is here for, to be in this together, raise money for everyone, all at the same time, one big moving force, and of course, inspire you to give so that they can get a matching gift as well. So, yes, thank you very much for being here.
So much.